No, that's really fine. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I mean, it was pretty much good for anything. The gym. Love the gym. That was cool. It's like this. It's very fun, but like bottom and top. Yeah. Yeah. I think so now.
And snow.
I mean.
On
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Every 4 years, you get to.
The cool if I sit her?
Me, it's me.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna call the order, please rise to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. One, the notice of the sunshine law, adopted prior to January 10th of this year, resolution describing the dates, time, and location of all regular meeting commission. This meeting, one of the meetings listed in such resolution, and copies of the resolution were prior to January 10th, filed.
File the following reports, tax collector, report and zoning.
Second.
Filing of the certificate of determination of award, one of the reports. And provide that to CFO.
Do we need to move it? Okay. Second.
Yeah. Proclamation.
Okay, we're gonna start off this evening with recognizing, some of our officer firefighters. I want to ask them please to come up, okay? We can talk a little bit about what it was. Officer Bordowski, Officer Unzillo, Fire Lieutenant Bonamassa, Firefighter EMT Melanie Pierce, Tim, all firefighters, Tim Tregneri, Dylan Applegate, Nicholas Ludwig. You get a plug for them. We wanted to recognize these folks, and actually some paramedics that were involved, there's a number of people, but there was an incident within the last month that, and I'll try to give you a little sense of what it was without revealing confidentiality and issues with respect to some, the person that was injured, but there was response to a non-responsive person. When police responded, when the fire, paramedics got there, and there was great effort to try to understand and figure out what it was they should be treating, what the problem was. And some officers began to look around the house, and they discovered discovered something that they relayed to the paramedics, and they were able to basically change the course of treatment dramatically, and revived this person, brought them back, got them into the hospital. It was such a dramatic change that the head of the emergency room at Lourdes reached out to us. The paramedic team reached out to us. That it was such a dramatic change, really, because some of these officers went and did a little more than just responding and see what they can do. So we're recognizing them for this work. I want to thank you. It's great to know you're there all the time, or when I have the big one. But it's, we want to really, really thank you for your work and appreciate you taking that extra step to help somebody. Okay, here. Grab a picture? Or what? Grab a picture, we grab a picture. We can, they're gonna be a panoramic view, but each level of. Where's the camera? Right there. And there, it's always a little slow. You know. All right, we good? Family, you guys got it? Great, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, and as is our custom for those families and friends and other officers that are here for this, you are free to go. Thank you. You're not having to sit. Okay.
Can I get a second? Public hearing, that's 199, you'll see the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap.
So this is an ordinance which we had already gone through the process of adopted. There was an error with respect to the advertising of it, right? That's what this was. There was an error with respect to the advertising of it, so we are redoing it. And this creates a bank on, or it's actually a spending bank within our budget. And this simply sets up the bank in the event we need to use it at a later year. This is the second reading, this is the public hearing. Anyone want to be heard on it? This is your opportunity. Yes,
Thank you, Mayor.
just need your name and address for the record.
Crystal Ward, 325 Newton Avenue. I'm just wondering, what do you mean when you say set up a bank for later use in the future?
Sure, what it means is that it takes any unused, within the borough's budget, there is a cap on spending. So if there's a year when we don't spend to the cap, it allows us to carry that space, say we're 0.5% below, and it lets us bank it to a later year in order to spend it.
Okay,
We, like I said, we adopted this a while ago. We had action on it here. We've since introduced our budget, and we're amending it tonight. And as it happens, we don't have any room in the bank, so we're not in our cap bank, so we're not banking it. But we're putting this on record. It helps us with. The state does another little process during the year where there's a little checklist that we have to show we did, and this is one of the things that, like, if you did it, you get gold stars.
so why would you establish a bank if there's actually no anticipated funding going into it?
Because we adopted it already and we're redoing it because of a publication issue. And because what I just said, which is the state later in the year checks that we followed certain best practices that we adopted.
Okay,
Okay, so we're doing it so we have it on record.
okay, and just one more follow-up question, please, if
Sure.
I may. Is there any money sitting in the bank from prior years that has accumulated and not been utilized?
Not in our spending cap, no. There's another cap we have, which is tax levy cap, that we could raise taxes. And that's what I know a lot of you are here for that, that's what all the school discussions.
Okay.
To use that cap to raise taxes $3 million.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure, thank you. Anybody else? Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name and address, training's going by.
excuse me, just give us your name and address again, please.
Yes, it's Crystal Ward, 325 Newton Avenue.
You got it, thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
Paul Grock, 36 Harvard. So if this money is banked, that's actually not there right now, but if you were to have money that's banked, how is that money appropriated in later years?
It would be when a budget's put together, say there was a 0.5% left of 25, in 26, the borough would be able to spend 2.5%, be able to spend an additional percent over what that 2% cap is, that's out to be used.
But how is it allocated?
How is it allocated?
That's my question.
You wouldn't know until you had your next year's budget.
Right.
And say, okay, our
We're low.
expenses on something were higher, something broke, you wouldn't know.
So it's completely discretional to you all to decide where you put that money.
Within what we do, yes, yes, like if we're gonna add a police officer. That would increase those costs, so you have the room to move it into the cash. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay,
Mayor Melham?
yes,
Commissioner Yasi?
Yes.
Yes. And we have second reading public hearing of ordinance 1801, authorizing a temporary easement in New Jersey DOT.
This is granting basically a constructed easement for the storage of some equipment for work the DOT is doing. Cassandra, do I have it right? This is down on 130.
The Route 30 paving, but it's where, yes.
Okay, it's to store on some of our
Not sure
land.
if it's taking a little piece of like curb strip that they want for, it's for everything,
Okay.
very not.
This is, so it's granting a temporary easement for the DOT for road work on Route 30. Okay, and this is a public hearing. Anyone want to say, have anything they want to bring before us? You're welcome. Okay.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Commissioner Yasi?
Yes.
Yes.
And we have the first reading of ordinance 1802, establishing fees for police outside employment.
So this is an ordinance, we just completed a new contract with our police officers. Part of that is determining a rate for what's called outside work. So when you see them working with PSEG or, out with private work, they reimburse the borough and those officers get paid an hourly rate. So this is setting what those rates are in accordance with our new collective bargaining agreement with the police officers. This is the first reading. The public hearing will be at our April 7th meeting. Okay. Okay,
Mayor Melham?
yes.
Commissioner Yasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. And we have public comment on the resolution.
So this is a public comment on the resolutions that are on the agenda. If anyone has anything they would like to bring before us, questions, comments, anything you want on any of the items in the resolution, this is your opportunity to speak. Yes. Wait till you go. Go ahead.
Wade Rossi, 114 East Palmer Ave. I wanted to comment on the resolution that would authorize an agreement with Scott Oswald. I felt this is wildly inappropriate. Dr. Oswald is not qualified to go over a budget for the school district. He is not a neutral party. He spoke and wrote quite strongly against the current Board of Education last year during the referendum process. This is not a productive move. It's not going to move things forward. Foisting someone who left in disgrace in the middle of a school year on the board and the current administration is only going to show bad faith in the negotiation process that should be taken much more seriously than this. In Oswald's time as superintendent, he had someone who did the budgets for him, who figured out the numbers for him, and that person was Beth Ann Coleman. She is an outstanding public servant in this town. And frankly, it's kind of insulting to see that this board wants to take her work and submit it to a guy who left the town in the lurch in the middle of the COVID pandemic for some kind of cost savings. And to be frank, the reality is Dr. Oswald's not going to find cost savings. We know what the primary expenses are with the school budget. It is special education services, which are mandatory. It is transportation services, which in the district are largely mandatory. And it is salaries and salaries and benefits for teachers. And there isn't a way, there aren't enough moving parts that are going to save money that this dog and pony show with Dr. Oswald is going to seriously change the crisis the school board is in. I have talked to people from Haddonfield, Haddon Township, Lumberton, Berlin, and many other school districts who are facing similar funding problems. This is going on throughout South Jersey. And we have to be realistic. This is a problem with state funding. But right now, the only way to avoid pretty serious program cuts and really, really terrible teacher and staff layoffs is to fund education adequately in this town.
Thank you. Go ahead, I presume there's other comments, go ahead. Just name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Donald's, 615 Stokes Avenue, Collinsburg. I would just like to address the whole issue, if I may, if that is possible now, or do I wait?
Well, we'll kind of wait till later. This is
Okay.
really the time, just about the items that are on the resolution agenda. When we get done that, there will be another public session where you can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, I would
Okay.
just like to say right now that I think that putting Dr. Oswald on the committee is the right move to do. As someone who's worked with other administration, the person or county school officer, school administrator, he's already done this work. He's done budgets before. He knows the ins and outs. And as an educator myself, for 34 years, I've never been in a district that had a $3 million overspending. $100,000 maybe, 3 million, I think that's insane.
Okay. Good, yes, we'll let me go to back. Go ahead, Bill. Just give your name and record.
Bill Johnson, 131 Fraser. How you guys doing? I just wanted to add to Wayne's comments, a neighbor, that I really think it's really inappropriate and not a good direction for the board to go into to hire Scott Oswald. He's not a neutral party. I mean, for all we know, he might have an axe to grind. I don't know. Judging from his letter in the retrospect, which I thought was a little inappropriate too, he does have some harsh feelings for the Board of Education, and I just think it's the wrong move. And I guess the second part of my concern is like, why can't you guys sit down and talk about this? Like, we've been talking about this for a while. I don't know why we would put a Scott Oswald or anybody in between you guys talking. You guys it's like the two biggest companies in the town don't talk. And so I think this is not a good move. I think it's gonna put you guys, it's gonna separate you instead of you guys coming together. So I really, really hope you guys rethink this resolution to Scott Oswald.
Okay. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah. Steve Slovese, 439 Haddon Avenue. I just want to highlight a big change in state school funding since Scott's tenure as superintendent in Collingswood, as it relates to his role as a consultant. In 2013, with regard to the old Zane school sale, pilot agreements and ratables, they didn't specifically impact school districts, which is true. It does more impact property owners. But since 2018, ratables now directly factor into the state local fair share calculation, which does reduce the actual value of district state aid. I'm raising this to ensure Scott's consultancy reflects this update and serves our borough and district effectively. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thanks. Anyone else? Yes. Kate, you know the drill.
Kate Delaney, 126 East Palmer Avenue. So I want to echo what Wayne and Bill said. I very much agree. When I saw that you were hiring Scott Oswald to, I quote, provide recommendations for long-term cost-cutting measures, I thought first, you view that as your job as the mayor to hire someone to tell the school how to cut costs. Also, I agree with them that there's a conflict of interest here. You're literally hiring the last superintendent to tell the new superintendent how to do his job. How is that anything other than a huge fuck you to the new administration? And frankly, I would also like to know, since no one's asked, how much are we paying Scott Oswald?
The contract is for $150 an hour.
And how many hours do you think you'll have billable for this assignment?
I don't know, it's gonna take as many as we need to, but we haven't estimated on what that is.
So other
It's
people
not
in
a
the room want to know if that's
We
been
don't,
already signed.
we don't have anything to review, so it's not gonna be a lot.
Well, I think it's deeply offensive that you are using our tax dollars to hire someone to cut costs from our schools rather than fund them. And that and the weird letter that you sent, I don't think it could be more transparent that you are not willing to invest in our schools. This is a disgusting city.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Patty.
Madeline Deeks, 106 East Wing. I take issue when someone gets up in a public forum and says that Dr. Oswald left and there was a derogatory comment that Mr. Rossi made, that he left in disgrace. I worked with Dr. Oswald 2 terms on the school board, as you did, Commissioner Lewandowski, not as long, but we know him, I know him as someone that was honorable, worked hard. He did not, and you know what, Mr. Rossi, you're sitting there.
Maddie. Just address any comments to us.
Okay,
All right. I feel that it's derogatory to get up without any basis to say that that superintendent left in disgrace. He did not. And I will tell you that I worked side by side on the negotiating committee with Dr. Oswald. I find him to be very intelligent. He can bring something to the table because we all want the same resolution. We want to be able to help these children. We don't need to be name calling. We don't need to be pointing fingers. You can have an opinion to say, I don't think it's a good call. But to get up and say that Dr. Oswald was anything during his tenure but honorable and hardworking and had the children's interest at heart is what I take away from 6 years working.
All right, thanks. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Paul Grok, 36 Harvard. I just want to take the moment to refute something you just said. You have plenty to review. All of the school budgets and audits are public information. You got it. So stop trying to claim that you don't have something you have.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, Evan Leonard, 42 East Madison, talking about the Oswald resolution. It strikes me as odd that you're hiring him for all the reasons that were noted, but also that you're not having someone independent come in and review your budget, which, you know, you've been running for 32 years. So I think you should think about a resolution to have somebody, I wish it was the prior mayor, but you've been here for 32 years. But to bring somebody independent in to review your budget and see if we can find some cost savings there.
Sure.
I'll just point out one thing now. We've never asked the school for money. And we have, they came to us and said, look, we want you to give us $3 million from your budget. It's very unusual. So we have to just realize that it's an unusual thing and it requires unusual things. Just want to point out that.
Let's finish it. Whatever other comments you have. Go ahead.
Amy Telfair, 830 Park Ave. So I'm just curious, did he already get hired? Is there a sign, is it a discussion or is it already?
No, it's a discussion. He's been doing some work with
Okay.
us, but we've had some conversations with him.
So when
But
do you guys tell us?
tonight is where is the appointment and the
Okay.
hiring.
And so when is the part where you say why?
I'm sorry, I can't. Did you stand up?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
When is the part where you say the logic? Like, I'm just curious what the background.
Well, we haven't got a
Yeah,
chance.
okay.
This is
That-
a public comment.
that's
Let
what I
you all
wanted to
talk and then we'll
Okay.
address it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. All right, Iris.
Go ahead.
Hi, Lori Burton, 315 Lee's Lane. Since negotiations on the contract are still ongoing, I would propose that Dr. Oswald should offer his services pro bono. The district and the borough are scrounging for every penny to help teachers. And if he is specifically being hired because of his firsthand experience of the decades-long situation and his part in helping us get to where we are today, I think he should offer those services pro bono.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Commissioner Lewandowski, you just said that it's a different situation. They've never asked you for money. You've never asked them for money. It's a false equivalency. You collect taxes as a borough and those monies are distributed out. So to say that, I mean, why would they? Like, it's just kind of a silly statement to say that they're going to, they're.
Very well. So,
Anyone else?
Leah Foreman, 501 South Vineyard Boulevard. I think it's really clear from the borough's behavior that you're not acting in good faith. 53% of the state's cuts have been made to South Jersey schools. And despite only 8% of districts receiving cuts statewide. So South Jersey is receiving the most cuts statewide. This clearly shows where the state is prioritizing funding and where we need your advocacy. Your letter, which uses fear-mongering, shows you're more concerned about re-election than the state of our schools. This is not what I expect from borough leadership. What I do expect is a focus on prioritizing the schools, which means finding money in the surplus and increasing taxes if necessary. I also expect you to begin reaching out to neighborhood districts to explore ways to support our district in securing fair funding from the state. This is not a problem unique to Collingswood. South Jersey schools are facing broad funding cuts, and small districts with aging facilities will never be able to keep up. And yet, your solution is to bring someone who left at the height of the pandemic as we were approaching the fiscal cliff. What is going on? This is not leadership. I'm appalled by your decision-making throughout this entire process. If you truly wanted to solve this problem, you would be working to fund the schools now, while also looking ahead to next year to find a long-term solution to this complex issue, not throwing money away on a consultant when we already know what we're facing. This is not what all hands on deck looks like, and you all know it.
All right, any other public comment on any items on the agenda? Okay, the first resolution is on the agreement with Scott Otten. So I'll explain to you a couple different things. First off, what Mr. Grock said there about how, just to address a really basic misunderstanding that a lot of folks have, that we've been, and frankly, the board hasn't said this at all, the way you stated it, that we decide how much money goes to the schools. That is just not true.
I didn't say that.
The school board adopts a budget. They're in their process of adopting the budget. I have former school board members sitting here, but they adopt a budget. When they adopt a budget, it gets sent to the county. The county decides what their tax rate is, and tax bills go out. People pay their taxes to the borough. We collect the taxes. And whatever that school board budget was that they came up with, we send them a check in 4 equal installments for the total amount of that budget. The borough does not. We never, ever have for decades ever sat and said, how much should go to the schools? Well, you know, there's a history curriculum class we want to add, so we should add a little bit more. That never happens because that's not how the state system is set up. Okay, so the notion that any borough government has ever decided how much goes to the schools is just false. It's not how it works. Okay, now, having said that, we were asked February 10th to increase taxes. Doesn't increase our budget, it increases our tax levy by $3 million. If our staff came to us and gave us a budget and said, we have to increase $3 million this year, okay? I would want copies of the working papers. I would be asking 100 questions. I would be saying, what is it we can do to help reduce those costs? So that we don't reduce services. What do we gotta do to make this work? Okay? That is all we've done. We have asked to see the current budget for which we are told there is a $3 million shortfall. The night it was presented, that I was there, February 10th, it was a big deal was made of transportation costs. When that meeting ended, I spoke with the president of the school board. And I said, you know, just sitting here, hearing what your issue is, maybe there's an option on transportation. Maybe the borough starts a bus company. Maybe we buy some buses. A couple of years ago, we had track guys, a contractor, call up and say they're not coming anymore. So we started a trash company and we bought trash trucks and we collect them. So what I said to him that night was, we'll go over what you need it for because we can share that service. I could run seniors to different places during the day. We take kids on special ed, like we could look at doing that. He was like, okay. They will not give us the current budget where there is this deficit. We have never, ever said that someone that works there and is preparing this has done something bad or wrong. We have never said that. While we are trying to get this information and trying to get just information out to people, which there has not been the kind of public outreach that we think there should be for a $3 million tax increase. And that's what we have tried to do, okay? And I think everybody should know about it. Everybody should know about it. Because I'll tell you, when the tax bills hit in July, they are not going to the school board. Okay, I get those calls. I sit with the seniors crying in my office because they have to move. Okay, so we're simply asking to look. I contacted Scott Oswald the day after I got the letter from the school board president asking us to form a partnership. Okay, that was the ask, the letter, wanted us to form a partnership. We responded a day later and said, we're in, here's what we're probably gonna need. Okay, that was a Wednesday. Come Monday, there was a resolution put up on the web asking us to raise taxes by $3 million. Like I said, we're trying to get the information that we need to either try to help the board in sharing costs, help with ideas to cut costs. Just to give you the game plan, Wednesday night is a town forum, which we put together a team that's been working on this. Our auditors, two folks from our auditors, Mike Garcia and Deanna Roller, Betty Jo, our CFO, Cassandra, Sandy Kelly's been working with us on this. She's a grants consultant, does our communications. Scott Oswald has been working with us on this. Sherry Tracy, I just brought her in today. She's our financial advisor. She's also the financial advisor for the schools. Lindsay Ferguson has been working with us on this. I've met with state legislators. I've met with the League of Municipalities. We have a tentative plan together that we want to hear what people have to say on Wednesday night. And see if that modifies this in any way. Our intention was that next Monday, we would be at the school board meeting to lay out a plan, okay? Scott Oswald, in my opinion, services have been essential and will be essential because we never do school budgets. We have never worked on it. We never decide what goes into a school budget. We never review them. We do not speak school budget, okay? Just like if you were to ask a school board member to look at our budget, they would go grab somebody that's done it before and say, yeah, help me here, what's where, what is this? So he has been invaluable. I think he will continue to be invaluable because he has the perspective of what different things are within the district, not just this district, any district, what things we could do. As we try to put together a plan, we're able to vet and review options, okay? So that's my reason. Anything you wanna?
The amount of time, creative problem solving, efforts, collaboration that we have all put in these last few weeks. The notion that we do not care about the schools is completely ill-founded and is rattling around in social media. I have seen outreach, I have seen, like I said, creative problem solving, just ideas being put forth and real effort. And we're gonna roll out an extremely thoughtful proposal on how to, once we get feedback from what people want. We're trying to be responsible stewards of our money. We're trying to say, if we're going to give you this money, we need to know what you're spending it on. You don't go to the bank and ask for $3 million and say, no, you don't have to see any of my documents. It's important that we know exactly what we're funding. We're not trying to undermine the business administrator, we're not trying to undermine the superintendent. We're trying to get a clear picture of the funding.
Look, here's what I would say, and I have to remind myself this too, because sometimes is that, I don't matter in this process, Jim Bailey, Morgan, Roger Chu, Claire McDowell, we don't really matter. What matters is we come up with a solution to an immediate budget crisis. And that beyond that, that we work on ensuring that's a budget that's sustainable moving forward. And as much as, believe me, hear from a lot of people, not a lot of it's good. Silly is the best thing I've been called this week, is that the chatter that's out there is not necessarily coming from here, not trying to besmirch anything. But we're also not trying to impose anything. It's not a top down, and Scott Oswald himself, look, I'm not gonna change anyone's mind about Scott Oswald, that's okay, right? We can disagree, reasonable people can disagree. I would say that Scott Oswald was there to bring perspective and understanding. It's a $40 million organization, our school district. We should treat it more than a tweet, a Facebook post, a Reddit post. It's more than that. Not everyone has the responsibility to look at every angle of these issues. We can look at one variable, one stat, and say, aha, I got it. I know what it is, and that's it. I'm on this side. I'm not playing sides. The only side I'm on is the school district and the students. And that takes time, it takes patience, it takes diligence, it takes knowledge, experience. And the one thing it takes is not an ego. So for all of us, whether we're sitting at the table trying to work this out, or as citizens who are also part of this process, we need to breathe, I think we need to listen, and I think we need to understand that if this was easy, if this was just as easy as waving a magic wand, it would be done already. It's hard work, and I promise you, we're doing the hard work. We're trying to come up with ideas. We want feedback from that. Will it be perfect? I don't know. Will it be good enough? Hopefully. Can we get it better? I certainly hope so. We should never stop trying to make it better. And that's where I'm at right now.
I'll just add this, like in the past, like I've been critical of the board's been critical of me. In this day, I've been critical of Scott Oswald. Scott Oswald was critical of me. So what? Like, we disagree at different times on different things. We're all working together. We are working with what we have to put together a plan. We'll have it by next Monday, have it done and present it, okay? And then we can all go from there. No public session comes at the end of the resolutions there. Okay, Paul, go ahead.
Authorize the agreement with Scott A. Oswald LLC for consulting services.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorize entering into a memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity of South and Central New Jersey.
So this is a relationship that we're starting with Habitat for Humanity, really focused on trying to get a few different angles of it. One is using their expertise and their ability to get grant funding and doing some rehabilitations on houses that would qualify as affordable houses. They have some links that they can work into become a second source for us on the abandoned properties list that we have been working on for years now, which thankfully we're at a point that it's like below 5 now. And we asked our fire department last week to go do another review to give us like what the next 10 are. So we've got a couple different relationships with Habitat. This is getting things going, and we hope that it's going to be a really productive relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Appointing laborer to the Department of Public Works, Anthony Gomez.
Yes.
Yes.
Appointing members to the Collins Library Board, Elizabeth Dugas and Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah.
Authorize the lease amendment to the property at 315 White Horse Pike.
So the property at 315 Whitehorse Pike is the Scotch Rite. And what we've been in discussions with the Masons, and we are about to extend the lease period for another 40 years on Scotch Rite. We're coming near the end of it. By near the end, like another 20 years we have left in it. But we have, this past couple of years, we had been able to get infrastructure funding from the county. That has allowed us to do major improvements at the theater. Which is pretty much the new air conditioning that's in, and some other repairs. This is going to, extending this lease will give us the ability to go apply for other grant funding. That there's a new program at the state, and we're hoping to get substantial grant money in order to address the fact that it's not fully ADA compliant, that their seating needs to be replaced. There's a lot of work that gets done in the theater. This, by extending that lease term out further, gives us the ability to go get some more grant money to get some more work done on the project. Okay? Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing to rebid for towing contracts.
Yes.
Yes. We're rebidding it because no one bid the first time. Yes.
Authorizing the acceptance of the GCAPA grant funds for municipal lines.
Yes.
Authorizing an application for CDBG funding.
This is Community Development Block Grant money. It's a federal funded program. Hopefully it's still there. We get it every year, and this is just getting an application in for it. Yes.
Yes.
Approving change order number 1 final from Think Pavers Hardscaping LLC Company for the Transit Village pedestrian improvements.
So this is related to, there's some flashers and some work that's been done at different crosswalks on Haddon Avenue. That's what this relates to. It's finishing up the contract. Yes.
Yes.
Accepting a maintenance bond and release of the performance guarantee from Think Pavers Hardscaping for the NJDOT Trust Fund Transit Village pedestrian improvements.
So that's related to finishing their contract and releasing their performance guarantee because they have completed the contract. That's what that is. Yes.
Authorizing raffle licenses to Jake's Place, Tender Inc., and Collins Civic Collective.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing the refund of a water bill payment.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing to advertise for a salt storage shed.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the FOP.
Yes. So this is resolution of our, did you skip over one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you skipped one.
I did.
Yes.
Authorizing award of emergency contract for, municipal maintenance.
So that emergency contract is strictly for water repairs, right? It was water repairs that we had to do that were substantial, so we had to contract somebody in for it. Our guys couldn't handle on their own. That's all that is. It's an emergency, helps us. Well, we have to hire somebody right away to fill up the water coming out. Yes.
Yes.
Now authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the FOP.
This is settling our fire contract, which we talked a little bit about, that is related to, I'm sorry, our police contract, my mistake. The finalizing our police contract, we talked before that with our budget. We have an additional $1 million in salary in the first year, $500,000 in subsequent years. All part of, and I want to emphasize this again, this negotiation was much more of a cooperative effort. Because the difficulty in the uniform world, especially the police, is attracting police officers. With all that's going on in the last few years, you may not believe this, but there's not the line that there used to be of people that want to become police officers. So we have been going through where we swear at a couple of cops every other meeting, and we're not gaining in the size of our force. We're simply replacing people that have left, and they're leaving for more money. And so what we need to do is we thought we need to bulk this up in working with the collective bargaining unit to get it to a level that we felt we could attract and retain police officers. So this is simply authorizing the MOU. We'll have a contract become a close. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, authorizing the 2025 municipal budget be read by title.
Right, so, yes, yes. So this is, tonight was advertised as the public hearing on our budget. We are not adopting our budget tonight. we are amending our budget tonight. So we will be scheduled for another public hearing, on April the 7th. But if there is anyone that's here that wants to talk about it, more than happy to. The budget is, on average, a $71 increase. That's for under the reval homes that are valued at $450,000. The change, I'll just tell you the amendment, I already talked about the salaries, the amendment that we're making in it has to do with, a pilot payment, the schedule of pilot payments on the Parkview. In the original budget that was put together, there was kind of an automatic, formula applied to the valuation based on our reval, okay? And on review, when the assessor went through that the jump did not happen on the Parkview reval. Like most people have seen, you know, on average, it's a doubling. And it didn't happen there because the property sold 2 years ago. And it was assessed at its market value at that time. Okay, so the change that is made is it's changing, getting the correct valuation on their reval, what it is. And that affects what that revenue number is, okay? We've been able to absorb that in a mix of using some more of our surplus, making some cuts in different line items, so that the net effect of the loss of that revenue is there's no difference for the taxpayer. It is still a $71 increase is what it will be with this budget, okay? So anyone want to comment, public, you know, any kind of public comment on the municipal budget? Yes, sir.
I just have a question on the surplus piece on the budget in the last two columns. It went from, I think, 1.7 to 3 million. So can you just talk to that amendment and why that changed from one?
Sure, and I understand people on social media were posted about that. But it is not, it doesn't mean the increase, the surplus grew. Okay, what it means actually is the surplus went down a bit. What it means is that we increased the amount of surplus that we were using to support the budget. Okay, and it's in, you can see it in, I don't know, maybe page 7, 8 on the budget that's online. And I made some copies because I know people were talking about it, but I made some copies that you can see it. There's a recap sheet in the budget. And the calculation, what it does is the surplus. So when we all think of surplus, it's like, how much money are we holding in the bank in case, right? And so what it does actually is, under the original budget, we had 2.2 million that we were holding in case, okay? And now that number is 1,850,000. Okay, the 3.2 that's shown in the resolution we're doing tonight is increasing the amount we're using from our surplus to support the budget.
Can you tell us what the surplus of Collingswood is that you're able to?
Right now, it's 1.85 million. Under the budget that's being proposed now, it'll be 1.85 million. That's what it is. I know, I just heard people saying that we have 3 million sitting somewhere in the bank, we don't. And so Wednesday night, we'll have the auditors there and you can talk to the guys that go over the books, like, we don't, it's just not so. Okay, so, but I have the sheets if anybody wants to see it. Yes, on the budget, go ahead.
Yeah, just curious. So I'm just trying to understand the bank that you mentioned before creating that to
Yes,
put any sort of surplus in. How is the surplus that you're talking about now different than that?
I didn't mention the surplus with respect to a bank, okay? The bank, what a bank is if, and we have, the school board has one cap. School board has one cap. It is their operating cap, okay? So that only governs what they can spend, okay? They don't have a tax levy because we ultimately want to do that levy, okay? We're the mortgage company and we collect your insurance, okay? So on the cap, we're at our operating cap. We can't spend any more money. But we have a secondary cap, which is a tax levy cap, which is how high you can raise taxes. that has accumulated bank from prior years, and this year, it's 3 million, 3.1, 3.2, something like that, okay? This year, what's contributed to that tax levy cap is $1.4 million. Got added to it, so it's 3, okay? So what that can be used for, is there are costs that the borough has that aren't in the operating cap. Okay, like, we could go add 3 million to the budget, we could have done it last year, add 3 million to the budget, and redone roads. Okay, $3 million worth of road, replace $3 million worth of sewer pipe, you could do that, okay? The reason we don't do that is it's a $700 increase in taxes, we don't do that to everybody, instead we work on doing some every year, like we keep it, so that people can afford it as well, okay, that's a counterbalance we have. So that's why there's a different cap on what we can spend, we can't raise that money by $1 million on our tax levy and take that money and pay police salaries. Can't do that. We have to do that from within that operating cap budget. Okay, that's what they are. All right, any other comments, questions? Okay, Al?
Okay, next one, I'm gonna do a roll call vote. Approving the amendment of the 2025 municipal budget, Mayor Nelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodowski?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Okay, reaffirming services with NJ Mel for public sector service training.
Yes.
Yes. No. Huh?
No, it's fine.
No, that's all right, no, this is simply, that we're taking advantage of some programs from within, that are offered by our MEL, which is our self-insurance pool, with respect to they're making a little push about customer service, so like, we're doing a little bit of a push and re-upping some training for all of our employees, since they all pretty much are public facing, but kind of just reaffirming that and kind of re-upping and trying to get all our folks back into some of that training. That's all this is. Yes.
Yes.
And approving the payment of bills and tax water and sewer accounts.
Yes. Sure. Commissioner Robinson?
I would like to announce that we are adopting a proclamation to observe March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility. We're going to present the proclamation at a later date, but wanted to make everybody aware. It's in an effort to raise awareness and the importance of dignity and fairness, and in light of federal documents and websites and regulations, moving our transgender Americans from those documents. It's an effort to celebrate our diversity in our community and to stress the importance of the beloved and very much real and wonderful transgender.
Okay. Commissioner Woodowski?
Yeah, got that.
You're not gonna get applause, I know that.
I want to say I'm not gonna say anything.
There you go. You don't have anything? You get to standing out. Two items. One is, the fire department is kind of resurrecting this year, a St. Baldrick's event, okay? It's the last Sunday of March, Matt? Okay, the last Sunday of March, a lot of this is done, many moons ago, we lost one of our very young firefighters, Andy Stachewski, who just was an ace. Bob Stachewski here in town has been, this year he celebrates his 50th year as a special police officer. You go to anything in town, you find Stas out working, okay? But many moons ago, we lost Andy with cancer. It's kind of a very difficult time, and we lost him. And this fireman started St. Baldrick's event fundraising for pediatric cancer. It's a party at the Scottish Rite. It is a very big hair cutting party where they shave everybody and people raise money for it, but where everybody's starting to back up, like every event, you know, guys running and get a little beat by it. This one is like, it'll be mobbed. It's crazy what it is. But I want to urge you all, take a look. We're gonna hopefully have a tile up on our website. It's a huge fundraiser. It's a great time. Make sure you get out and support it. The second thing is maybe an issue that's gotten as much social media chatter and school stuff, which is not quite as serious an issue, but it's online registration of the summer camp. It's a program that, it's been around forever, but it was always a paper registration. We could never get enrolled into, online. We have successfully accomplished that. So, keep an eye out, that registration. We don't take care of, like, we don't handle a lot of kids. It's less than 50, right? Isn't it?
95.
How many?
95.
95.
Preschool and elementary, but it's
Okay.
less than 100.
But it's gonna have online registration, a major advance for local government, that we now have online registration for this. It's taken a long time. That's all I have. Okay, we're gonna open it up to the public. Anything, this is when you can talk about whatever it is you would like to talk about. Anyone? Yes, name and address, please.
George Rand, 1.5 East Miles. Just concerned about the saddening that the Raccoon Top Room a couple weeks ago, and
So-
we need a top room.
Okay.
We need to have a top room right now.
Well, I don't think you can put blame on the establishment, okay? This is, and this is a person who, that day and other days, like, there's been issues with some other establishments, never violent, okay? It's just, it's a horribly unfortunate event. I think for me, at least, the worst is the randomness of it. It's just something we all need to be careful of. The staff at Raccoon, like, I touched base with them the following morning, like, to make sure they were getting what they needed, because they reacted when this person was just kind of, something didn't seem right. Police were on their way when this happened. It was just so close to have avoided it, but, yeah, I don't know, on this one, I don't know what we can do. I mean, policing, we're doing all we can, like, I don't know, it's just a random thing that there's nothing. Just gotta keep our eyes and ears open all the time, and if things don't look right, make the call, like, don't hesitate. This has triggered us to remember all the times when something happened and people later said to us, you know, I kind of saw this happen and thought that was weird. That's not this one. This one, the folks that were working felt something wasn't right, and called, and the police were responding when it turned violent like that. Okay.
And we started this meeting with our police and fire up here, and the work that they did so quickly to, every camera, trace, track, person down, to ensure that no one else was hurt, that person was apprehended without any officers getting hurt, just sort of condemn the work that was done there. I will say, just in terms of some good news about sort of our Raccoon Tap Room, we don't get these stalls, any issues, noise, probably behavior, and all that. It's been running the place well, and I think the patrons have as well. Not good, we keep it going. We clearly don't want something that's disturbing you, but not something that enhances you.
It will be, at another meeting, we'll be recognizing folks that were involved in that, because, patrons. Stuff that was, like, the stuff that people did was, just beyond call of duty. They really chipped in. The young man still, struggling along, but, we're hoping for the best. We're trying, if you know of anybody, we already had one of the patrons, we got help to them. So and staff is fully available to the staff that was working. But if you hear of anybody that was there that night, that if they need some help, which goodness gracious, I'm sure they do, like, just have them reach out, or somebody reach out for them, and we'll get them connected. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Yes.
Jim, it's Mark 126 Brown Road. Mayor, Commissioners, I want to thank you for the proclamation. I had some friends, they believe in Harry, both reached out yesterday, that they were trying to, do proclamation happen locally. I knew that we had commissioners and mayor who would be on board, but we got yesterday, and I'm grateful that we were able to make that happen. So,
Yeah. Anything else we know? Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
I'm
Lauren, throw me off.
playing as a traffic cone tonight.
You guys. Yeah.
All right. Jen Rossi, 114 East Palmer Avenue. Wanted to talk a little bit about the Nixle emergency texts. They seem kind of inconsistent in the topics that are coming. It pushes an emergency, for instance, in October, when there's a statewide burn ban, it should have been like, I feel like there should have been like a Nixle alert for something like that, part of our overall awareness in wildfire preparedness, which I know Governor Murphy has pushed to the towns in January as part of an overall communication. And a more recent example being at the end of February, when there was a fire at the recycling facility. It really felt like that should have been Nixle alert. Today was fantastic when there was a road closure. But I mean, I feel like solar panels is kind of a miss for an emergency communication. So, oh, make sure you register for our solar panel program. That came out as an emergency text. Not sure who in the borough I could kind of put some ideas to about.
Shoot an email to us.
All right.
You can shoot the holes.
Okay.
Share. Hold on. No, I hear you. Sure.
I don't do the actual,
This is Sandy Kelly,
Stanford.
does communications at Grant Consulting.
When you sign up, there's an option of informational text, like different types of text, and they're not all emergency. So that might be why you're getting certain numbers, different lists that assign.
But I mean, there'll be a series of months where I won't get any Nixle alerts and there will be road closures.
But you talk about different types of information.
Yeah.
Get people when you sign up, you select, yes, emergency text, informational events, those sort of things, so.
Yep. Yeah, I'm opted in for everything. I know how subscription lists work. Thank you, Sandy. But no, the problem is that there'll be many months where there's no communication of road closures, things like that, and then we'll get them from time to time. I just want to make sure it's more consistent.
You're gonna get that text every other day.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Lindsay's triggered bigger already, start sending texts.
I love it.
You're gonna come in bang and say, please, no more text.
No, I don't think that would happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll see you.
Hey, I will
Go
talk.
ahead.
Paul Groff, 36 Harvard. This is specifically for Commissioner Lewandowski.
Yes.
I've seen your posts online and I've heard you comment tonight on how the commissioners want to support the schools. They want to project positivity. They want to partner. I'm just asking for some common sense explanation why you would send a text that says, come to the $671 tax increase. Why would you send a letter that spoke fear? You guys know what you're doing. You are triggering fear in people that this is all about tax increases. I know Roger Chu made it very clear in that board meeting that this might involve tax increases. He also said, if you guys have any tax neutral options on the table, please let us know. Right? And sorry, Morgan, Commissioner Robinson, excuse me. You stated that you've been at this for weeks. Steve and Bridget brought this information to you in October. Right? So to say that you're at this for weeks and that we're trying our best is somehow falls short to me. No, what they've highlighted, Steve can speak for himself. I won't speak for Steve or Bridget. They brought to you the fact that this funding deficit was a problem. So Commissioner Lewandowski, I'd like a response of how you think.
Yeah, oh, well, listen. There's two things. We can sit there and say they need $3 million and that'll go to the schools and that's good. But where does it come from?
That's not my question, sir. My question, sir, is if you're acting in good faith,
Right.
Why do you send a text that says, come to this referendum so your taxes don't get raised, essentially?
It's to discuss things. Look, you can.
Wait, sir.
No, you don't get to sit there. You wanna tell me I'm just like, I got you, Rob, I got you. You wanna talk, we'll talk. We can talk now, we can talk afterwards, okay? It's really okay. The fact of the matter is I want the whole town to be a part of this, not 3 people. Not 11 people over there. And when we did the police fire meeting, you know what we did? We had town meetings. And you know what we did? We raised taxes. And you know what we did? We told them we were gonna raise taxes. And and it worked. And people came to understand, and the people who lived there, they weren't happy that we were gonna put a police fire on their side of it. They said, oh, this is gonna disrupt our neighborhood, and it's gonna this, and the lights are gonna bother. And you know what happened? We said, oh, maybe we can rethink how to do those lights. Maybe, as we look at the brick that we use and stuff, and make sure that it fits into the area, just little things like that happen. So one of the reasons why we did this egregious thing is because we've done it in the past and it seems to work. Mind you, this was a town hall that we have scheduled. Anyway, we have these town halls, twice a year where we say, just come, no agenda, whatever you want to talk about. And, sometimes people come there and say, I want a stop sign, I don't want a stop sign. Sometimes great ideas, sometimes it's criticism, sometimes it's thank you. It's okay, because, when you're a town of 14,000 people, and you expect to have all. And so I don't think it's disingenuous to be talking about it. President Chu did mention that it would be there. We did as well. But if we're, maybe not your favorite flavor, you look at us and say, how you did it is bad, how he did it is good, that's fine. We disagree on it. I understand. I'm willing to get past it and work on the schools. If you are too, I'm in. If you're not, I'm in. We'll just can't carry on like this. That's it. That's all I can tell you.
I would just add, the notice that we sent out was because we did not feel that there was outreach to all the residents to tell them that this was going to involve a tax increase, okay? That's what, the notice, listen, the notice for the meeting, the February 10 meeting, when the resolution was adopted, went out on Nixle to the school community. That's it, okay? And since then, there has been no public notice to the community from the Board of Education. None. They notice their meetings, you go to their meetings, you can hear about it, but none. And when there is, this would be the largest municipal tax increase in the borough's history. I think everyone should be aware, okay? And voice their opinion. That's all we did. And in the Nixle, I don't know, the objection, that's exactly what Roger said, that to his credit. I think his line was, I don't want to sugarcoat this. This will involve a tax increase.
Unless the borough can come up with tax neutral.
I'm trying to see the budget, to see what we can
That's
do.
why you have Scott Oswald, that's why you had.
Come on, be realistic.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead, Amy, go ahead.
I just was gonna say that just from an outsider, I think what he's saying is the way that it was communicated, not necessarily even the facts. Like if there's 2 parts. There's one is you're raising taxes or there's tax neutral. So the conversation, the way that it was communicated feels on this end or in the world that it is an aggressive stance as opposed to a collaborating stance.
I hear you. Okay.
Like that's all. I think that's-
I hear you, but listen.
Yeah.
It needs, where our position, how we view our position is. I don't know what there is in their budget that we can help resolve, because I ain't seen it.
But
And
how
they
come you guys don't just
refused,
call them?
they have refused twice now to give it to us.
So
They told us, go look at the old stuff. That doesn't explain what the 3 million is, okay? We would love to. We're gonna give our own ideas, okay?
Right, but I'm saying you called in another superintendent when there's an actual superintendent that literally has questions and answers for you sitting there. So like, why would they?
And
Not giving us any answer.
Well, so like, then let's discuss that for a second. So like.
okay, they said no, we
But
tried.
what I'm saying is you're paying $150 an hour. You could pay me $150 an hour and I'll sit there and explain to you, here's the superintendent, here's the answers, here's the question. Like, it feels crazy to me that you'd go to someone else when there's an actual person here who's very educated and is a doctor, has all of these backgrounds to just ask him the question. And if you can't get him in the room, let's discuss that. If you can't get him in the room, that's a very different story.
Yeah, well, okay, all right, okay.
I'm
Yes,
saying-
sir. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, name and address.
Yeah, Don Olson, 615 Stokes Ave. I would like to thank you for what you've already put out there. I think you explained it pretty well, that you were throwing a political football at the end of the game, and now you have to handle that. And you have to come to us and ask for a tax increase. And I think you guys have done a very, very fine job in a very short amount of time. Now, from my point of view, if I'm gonna hand over tax money, addition to what I've already paid, I would like some, conditions. Like, this shouldn't happen, $3 million, as I said before, earlier in the meeting. That's unheard of in education. And if it was me, I would sit there and say, look, okay, if we do approve this, there are some things that we want from you. That, first of all, it never happens again. Second of all, that the back pay that the teachers are owed gets paid.
Yeah.
And that their steps move up. They don't forfeit this step this year, so they save money. That money should have been already budgeted last year for all the raises and everything else. So the fact that you don't have a contract is amazing to me when that money was already budgeted and now it's gone. So did they use the $3 million?
Listen, Wednesday night, we're gonna have.
Yeah, but you don't know, I understand.
You got it, but we're gonna have, a small team that's gonna talk through all this stuff here, like, many of you have been to our town forums, we're gonna engage in it, we're gonna talk it, hear what everybody has to say about it.
It's negligence.
That's, thank you, let me get some other,
Evan Rosenfeld is one thing, yeah, okay. This is just like, we've been for what, 20 years, we've been here 20 years, and for me, like, one of the biggest problems living in this town has been the communication between the school board and the borough. And there's like things that have happened over the 20 years, and we're like, well, that affects like property value of this relationship, like something crazy happens there, and I'm like, that affects my, can you tell me the history of the communication between the two things, because they seem to me like they should be integrated into each other, the communication between the borough and the school, but it doesn't seem like that's a reality. And so I'm just interested in the history of that and how we got there. You understand? And that's probably you, because you've been here.
Well, listen, it's been with Scott Oswald, it's been a working, like with Oswald, it was a working relationship, we disagreed on stuff, there was stuff that happened, and we had battles, okay? But we still worked on stuff, okay, we still had that level of, yeah, we're gonna disagree, like Rob was saying. On this, like the budget stuff, things kind of broke down in the referendum. Okay, last year, we made, as the referendum was in process, we sent over a proposal to have us purchase Good Shepherd, give a pause to the capital referendum, and do an operating budget referendum for this, okay? That's what in our letter, that's what we sent over to them and said, really, we should take a pause and deal with teachers' contract. Shortfall that you had in the spring, it could be worse next year. And we were told, no. Okay, so there hasn't been a whole lot of communications. I reached out to the superintendent, I spoke with him the day before the referendum vote. I called the school board president the day before the referendum vote and said, whatever happens tomorrow, let's sit down Wednesday, okay? And we'll figure out whatever happens. School board president never called me back. Never got scheduled with the super. I followed up later. We had a spot where we thought might work for offices for them to go take a look at. And it just, I don't, listen, I'm not taking it that way. I'm just telling you, it hasn't been,
not like, when I go to the Board of Education meetings, there's not a representative of the borough sitting here. When I come here, there's not a representative of the school board sitting here. Like, it seems that there's a disconnect. It's the two things that should be most important in running this community.
But because I was gonna answer a little different, so I'm gonna take a shot.
Go ahead.
Is that we communicate all the time, right? But, you know, our police and the school district are working on security and safety issues.
Yeah.
Our public works and buildings and grounds are working, they're collaborating, our recreation, park programs, you know, we get access to for rec basketball, to use their stuff. The stuff is done all the time. This obviously is a different thing, but I will tell you, right, like, governing isn't politics, right? I think a lot of what we're dealing with is politics. I don't mean it in a bad way. Politics isn't a bad thing, but there's unlimited wants and needs, and there's limited resources to do. And ultimately, someone calls shots on those things, and it's a process that gets you this. But governing is, you know, it's truly a, you know, it's a skill, it's a endeavor that almost has to operate in a political environment. But you also have to have blinders on. You have to say, look, I got to hear it, but I don't have to own it. I don't have to get angry. I don't have to cut off relationships with anyone. And that's a really hard thing to do, right? We're all lay people. None of us coming from professionals and doing this stuff, right? The school board, I served on there. I know those people. My friends are on there. They're good, decent people. They're doing the best. I know the superintendent. I know the board secretary. Good, decent people. We need to work together. I agree. But we are. But would I say I would give us an A? No, right now.
We're throwing, I don't keep, we're hyping up a plan way too much, but we're putting something together that's gonna call for an extraordinary level of partnership. Okay, all right?
In
Like,
ways
the
that-
first letter we got before there was a, you know, request to raise taxes, it was for a partnership. And we responded back and said, like, let's go, let's get together. And then it moved into, it was. This tax increase is what was being asked for. Like, that's what, I know that we're talking about other stuff they asked for, but like, the resolution that was adopted asks for us to raise $3 million in taxes and send it over. So that then triggers us like, okay, we hear you. Let us start looking and evaluating what we can do, and that's what we've been trying to do, and we will that was February 10, by the end of this week, next week. We're gonna have stuff together, and it calls for a much greater degree of partnership on a lot of levels.
And I think I speak for all three of us when I say no bridge has been burned, no door is closed. Happy to talk, happy to do, and, you know, I think we're gonna get there, like.
I think
You know,
this is just a 20-year observation. Like.
It's not always been like that. I know that, I mean, people think Oswald, like, I never got along with anybody, like, it's Oswald and me working together, a lot of heads will spin because people think like, oh, they hate each other. Like, no, we disagreed on some things. We certainly disagreed on some things. But we disagreed on things, but we can still talk. So,
and we also recognize that they are in a school district, they have certain things, so there's cooperation and there's also handoff, and it's a balance.
okay, we're gonna go around. Yes. Oh, Lindsay, you have a question? Look, hold on. You have a question there, Lindsay?
I have a question. Somebody online is asking, how do the grant monies received by the school help or hurt the budget if they are listed as unearned revenue?
How did the grant monies help or not hurt the school? I don't know. I just don't know. I have no clue. I know for us, for municipal budgets, usually the grants we get aren't just like generic grants. They're specific. So like we get grant money from the DOT to pave a block of Haddon Avenue, like that's what it goes to, so I don't know.
It's capital, so ours don't go to necessarily labor costs and stuff, and that's part of the details that you have to look at, so it's not, aha, we found a place to cut, it's also just, do we have a full understanding of it? And so questions like that were questions that we have as well, because that's about sustainability too. What happens if COVID funds run out next year or some grants, are we prepared for it? Look, that could be this $3 million enough. Who knows?
Yeah, we have hand raised back here, yes.
Yeah, like, let's say the worst case scenario is we can't find
We need them to address again just for the record.
Crystal Ward 325 Newton Avenue, which I provided earlier in the meeting.
Well, Thank you.
If the worst case scenario is that you can't find this, we can't find this $3 million and it comes down to a property tax increase, what are the mechanics? Does that go out on a special referendum for the town to vote on, or
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens?
You can raise the taxes tomorrow.
Okay, so is this like just a $3 million one time for this next school year? Or is it like an annual increase into
Forever.
perpetuity?
It's forever.
But that's tricky if we do it, because if we do it, then every year the school district has to come to us.
Wait,
for
I mean, it goes up every time. What, I don't